Welcome to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. Today, I wanted to give you a little reminder, something that you may have forgotten recently in all of the madness of running your business. And that is, you are a badass CEO. And it's time you start trusting yourself like one. Because somewhere along the way, you got stuck in this loop, consuming all the content, trying to get everything perfect, second-guessing yourself, thinking you're missing something, always on the hunt for the perfect answer. But the truth is, rarely is any of that actually necessary for you to find success. And I know that this probably sounds weird coming from me, considering E-commerce Badassery was built to teach people how to grow their business. And I'm definitely not saying you shouldn't learn from the people who've gone before you or lean on your peers for support. But your gut instincts, they're like a muscle. And if you don't use them, you risk losing them. And if you think about it, consistency is the key to pretty much everything in life and business. Working out, eating well, brushing your teeth, showing up on social. The more regularly you do it, the easier it feels and becomes second nature. But the longer you put something off, the more you overthink it, avoid it, or convince yourself you'll get to it when you have time, the harder it is to do the thing or get back into the swing of things. There's actually this girl on TikTok. She does these videos of how long does it actually take to do the thing she's been putting off doing. And sometimes that's organizing the junk drawers in her house or a closet, her garage, calling to make a dentist appointment. After she does the thing, she tells you how long it took her. 12 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. The garage one, I think, was over an hour. That was a little bit more in depth. But the point is, we build these things up in our heads and then we avoid them. And this behavior is getting in the way when it comes to trusting yourself as the CEO of your business too. Remember when you first started your business and you didn't actually know what you were doing and you were just figuring it out as you went? You're just winging it with some passion, curiosity, probably a little bit of chaos. And it worked, right? You got to where you are now because of that. You probably followed your gut without needing a course or a podcast series to back up the decisions you were making. You figured things out in real time, trusting yourself to take action and adjust along the way. You didn't have it all figured out, but you made it work. And now, after months or years, however long it is you've been doing this, it's morphed into leaning too hard on outside validation and obsessing over the right way to do things. And that decision-making muscle, it's starting to atrophy. And I know this because it happens to everyone. It's happened to me. It happens to my other biz friends. We talk about this behind the scenes. So in this episode, I want to talk about how to rebuild that muscle, take imperfect action, and start leading like the CEO you are. Because one of the most important CEO skills, it's not knowing every answer. It's being willing and able to make decisions without having all the answers. And this can show up in all different ways in your business, right? A lot of the times, you know more, but you're doing less. And let's not confuse that with my goal for everyone to make more while doing less, right? I want you to do fewer things better. But in this instance, I'm really talking about how every decision sort of feels heavier. you're hesitating on updating your product page because you're not sure what info needs to be there or where it should be. You maybe haven't got all your email automation set up, or you haven't updated them because you don't want to do it wrong. You hesitate running meta ads because you don't really understand the system or you don't know the right way to do them. Maybe you're saying no to potential opportunities because you haven't thought enough about it. And sometimes it's just because you have this thing you want to do and you're stuck in this gathering information cycle instead of taking action. I saw a quote recently, and it's part of what actually prompted me to make this episode. And it was, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly. And no, that doesn't necessarily mean you just do a half-assed job and call it a day. But the way I took it was, if something matters, it's better to do it imperfectly than to not do it at all. It has the same energy as done is better than perfect. I think it was Sheryl Sandberg that quote is attributed to. And at the end of the day, perfection is a trap. And for most business owners, it's the exact thing that keeps them stuck. And that's not what I want for you. It's not what I want for me. It's not what I want for my biz friends. Like, we gotta cut this shit out. And none of this is to diminish everything you've learned throughout this process, right? You've learned so much over the years or however long you've had your business about your customer, your products, your industry. And all of that learning is useful. We don't want to stop doing that, but it can become paralyzing. But I want to remind you that you're still the same person who figured this shit out before. You're still capable of learning, pivoting, trying, messing up, doing better. And you don't need to have every step mapped out. You just need to know the next one. And in a lot of cases, that next step is the thing you've been avoiding. So I want this episode to kind of be your permission slip to just do the thing. So the easiest way to get back that scrappiness, that fire, whatever it is you want to call it, is you got to just start working that muscle again. So pick one thing you've been overthinking and just do it, even if it's messy. That could be going live on social. It could be updating your product page, even if you end up changing it again next week. It could be launching the Facebook ad, even if it turns out to be a waste of money, because it's not actually a waste of money, it's a learning, right? And it's buying data. It could be putting up an MVP of an email automation, even if you think it sucks. It could be contacting that influencer you want to work with or that other business you want to collaborate with, even if you think they're going to say no. Ultimately, action creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence is what is going to reconnect you with that CEO energy. You've got this. You always did. Now it's just time to trust yourself again. And look, I'm still a firm believer in having a plan, paying attention to your data, and doing things the quote unquote right way. That's literally what I teach. But sometimes we swing the pendulum too far in the other direction. We get so focused on doing it the best way that we don't do it at all. So let this be a reminder that imperfect action is still action, and your gut instinct, it deserves a seat at the table too. And that, my friends, is a wrap on this week's episode. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you're having a kick-ass start to your spring, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at ecommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.